Okay, for today's assignment, we're going to be looking at solving linear equations that only have one variable. What we need to remember is inverse operations, that the opposite of adding is subtracting, the opposite of subtracting is to add, the opposite of multiplying is to divide, and the opposite of dividing is to multiply. Because we're going to use these inverse operations to help us solve these equations. So our first example, it says solve for v. Here is the variable v, and we need to look at what is happening to v that we need to undo. So we have negative 4 times the whole quantity v plus 14 equals 4. There's two ways you could approach this. You could see that this is negative 4 times that whole quantity, and we can go ahead and divide by negative 4. Or some students prefer to distribute negative 4 times v, negative 4 times 14. So negative 4 times v is negative 4v. Negative 4 times 14 is a negative 56, and that is still equal to 4. We have to undo the order of operations, which is PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplying, dividing, adding, subtracting. We have to undo it backwards. So we actually have to do SADMET. So the first thing we have to undo is subtraction or addition, if there is any. In this case, there is subtraction. So to undo subtraction, we have to add 56. And if we add it to the left side of the equation, we have to add it to the right side of the equation. So negative 4v is now equal to 60. To undo multiplying, and I know that's multiplying, there's an understood multiplication symbol there. To undo multiplying, I have to divide by negative 4. And so negative 4 divided by negative 4 is 1. So that leaves me with 1v. 60 divided by negative 4 is negative 15. So v is equal to negative 15. Let's look at another example. 2 equals 3 minus p. So what is being done to p? P has a positive 3 being added to it, and it has a negative 1 being multiplied in front of it. So to move this 3 away from p, I need to subtract it, because 3 minus 3 is 0. If I subtract it on the right-hand side of the equal sign, I have to subtract it on the left. So 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So negative 1 is now equal to a negative p. Well, it says solve for p. P should be positive. This is understood to be a 1 there. So times negative 1, I have to divide by negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 gives me p, and then negative 1 divided by negative 1 on the left-hand side gives me a positive 1. So p is actually equal to a positive 1. Four times the quantity u minus 18 is equal to negative 8. In this case, I see that this is 4 times the quantity. So this example I'm going to work out by going ahead and dividing by 4 first. And if I divide by 4 on the left, I got to divide by 4 on the right. So this leaves me with u minus 18 is equal to, and negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. So u has 18 subtracted from it, so to get this to be 0, so u is by itself, I have to add 18. But if I add it on the left, I also have to add it on the right. So u is now equal to 16. If we struggle with this, we can use a graphing calculator to help us come up with the answer. We simply treat the left-hand side of the equation as a line, and we treat the right-hand side as a different line. Since you're working from home, if you do not have one of the TI-84s, you can go to your computer. You can Google Desmos graphing calculator, and it should be the first option, and this is what it's going to look like. So if we look at our problem, we have 4u minus 18. When I type it in the graphing calculators, I change the variable, any variable, to an x. So when I type this in, I should type it in as y equals 4 parentheses u minus 18. Remember changing that u to an x. And so we might have to zoom out to see our line. You can fiddle with the settings on that. And then everything on the right-hand side, which is a negative 8, would go in the second line. And remember, we have to type y equals so that it'll graph it. And if we come over here, we see the two lines intersect right here. And we were solving for a single variable, so we just need that x value that pops up. That x value is 16. So notice that our answer over here was 16. That is how we get our answer in the calculator. So let's work out this next one. This is solve for s. Let's first look at it in the calculator. So everything before the equal sign goes in y1, and then everything after the equal sign can go in y2. So if I come back to my calculator, close those out. So I needed to say y equals, and then I'm going to have to use some parentheses to get this fraction. On a graphing calculator, the TI-84, you would use alpha y equals to create the fraction. This I'm going to have to use parentheses, so it's going to be parentheses s minus negative 1 parentheses divided by negative 4. And remember, we're going to change the s to an x, so it's x minus a negative 1, close parentheses, and it was all divided by negative 4. Our window, we can still see our calculator. In our window on our calculator, we can see our line. So then we have negative 3. So we need to type in y equals negative 3. The point where they cross, right here, is x is equal to 11. So our answer over here, s, should be equal to 11. So if we work it out, let's see if we get the same answer as we did with the calculator. So this whole thing is being divided by negative 4, so I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 4. So negative 4 on top and on bottom is just 1. So I'm left with s minus a negative 1 on the left side. And then negative 3 times negative 4 should give me a positive 12. Well, minus a negative really makes this plus 1. So what is the opposite of adding 1? Well, subtracting. 1 minus 1 is 0, so s is left by itself, equal to, and then 12 minus 1 should give us our answer, and it worked out to be 11. Then the final kind of problem that you'll have is when you have multiple terms and you have to combine them. So we have an s here and we have a 7s there. Those are like terms, so we're going to have to combine like terms or perform a little CLT on this math problem before we get started. So s plus 7s equals 16. Well, this is an understood 1 in front. They're on the same side, so I just add them together like they are. So 1 plus 7 is 8. So now I have 8 s's is equal to 16. I divide by 8, because this is 8 times s. If I divide on the left-hand side of the equal sign, I have to divide on the right. So this is s is equal to 2. And you could have typed this whole thing in your graphing calculator. You could have put it in like that, changing the s's, remember, to x's when you type it in. Type that in y1, and then you would have typed 16 into y2, and you would have came up with the answer 2. One last example where we have to combine like terms. It's 11u minus 9u minus 1 equals 13. These are like terms. They both have a u, so we need to combine them together. Since they're on the same side of the equal sign, we just put them together as is. 11 minus 9 is 2. So now I have 2u minus 1 equals 13. Add 1 to both sides so that this is 0. So 2u is by itself. 13 plus 1 is 14. Divide by 2 on both sides. U is equal to 7. I'll show this one in the calculator as well. So I'm going to type everything before the equal sign in y1, everything after the equal sign in y2. Changing the u's, remember, to x's. So go to my calculator, clear it out. Have to type y equals, and it was 11u, so it's going to change to 11x, minus 9x, minus 1. And that is what the line looks like. And then it was equal to 13. So in my second y, I'm going to have y equals 13. And the point that they cross is 7, 13. I need that x value. That is my answer. So u is equal to 7, as we had already discovered by working it out by hand.